because he did not want to live in fear. And I say, I'm a missionary guy here without even a weapon.
Yeah.
Like, what would be the sense of your fear that
Right,
would
yeah.
drive you
Yeah.
to want to meet with me? Like, it does not make any sense whatsoever.
What did he say?
But while I was just processing what he told me, it dawned on me that the fear wasn't me, it was actually the fear of God. That's what he felt.
Yeah.
Because what he proceeded to say was, everybody's saying that the gangs are taking advantage of you, a missionary. And that is not true. Because he says, I am the gang leader here, and I have never given an order to any gang member to extort money from you. So if there is anybody that's extorting money from you, I want to know the names of the people who have extorted money from you. I will go kill them myself. I'll take you back to 2002. I was 22 at the time, and in Kampala, and had gone there to go to university. And so one afternoon, had just returned home, and food on the table, and my cousin was kind of having a nap. And anyway, that whole lunch thing was interrupted. I never got to eat. I was hit down.
No way.
Yeah, there was another guy that had followed me from the living room down. I found myself in torture chambers.
I'm sorry.
I was in torture chambers for 90 days.
Torture chamber.
Chambers.
Now, who were these people?
They were military. They were government military, but they were all in civilian clothes, but they were military.
What was their agenda? What were they trying to do?
At this point in the story, we don't know.
Okay.
And they're asking us for guns. That's what they want. They want guns from us.
For their own use.
But the strange thing is we don't have any guns.
No.
But they want guns.
Okay.
Anyway, so they lead us into their headquarters, which is a safe house headquarters.
Yeah.
So safe house is not the house that is safe, but a safe where you keep money.
Okay, yes. A
So,
lockdown.
A lockdown.
Yeah.
So a torture chamber. Because
Okay.
these safe houses are actually not houses. They are concrete blocks,
Yeah.
like the height of the table.
Oh,
And
like
it's only about 3 or 4 feet wide,
oh, good grief.
and also about maybe 3 feet from the ground.
Okay.
Because if I sat underneath this table right now, I can't sit
Couldn't
upright.
even sit up.
Exactly. That was exactly where we were.
Come on. For 90 days?
And to complicate things, it actually has a door, like a safe door where you keep money. And that is where we were put in, and they locked us in there. Now, it wouldn't take you very long before you realize there is no oxygen in that box.
Yeah.
And so you have this feeling of if you dive into the pool and you go to the bottom,
Yeah.
and then you're down there, and then your body's telling you, I need oxygen.
Yeah.
But imagine that you're not able to come through.
Yeah.
That's how it felt.
Yeah.
And so there was no water, but you're yawning and yawning and yawning, and then you get cloudy
Okay.
and fuzzy.
Yeah.
That's kind of the feel in that cell. They have started executing people,
Oh.
and they would come in to the cell. They would come and call the names, and then you stand up, and they see who it is. And then in the middle of the night, they'll come back and call those guys. They'll go and execute them, and then the bodies are dumped somewhere, and then it is in the newspapers the following day, like headlines, and then they'll bring the newspaper for us to read. And that is how we knew what was happening to the people that they were calling out.
Yeah.
One evening, I actually had an audible voice
Okay.
and said, today before dawn, you will be out of this place. And so sure enough, that evening, you hear a gun being cocked, and then footsteps coming closer and closer to the door, and then the doorknob turns, and my name was called.
Okay.
When my name was called, you stand up, and they don't say anything. You just stand up, they look at you, and that's it. When you get out of the cell, you know you're a dead man anyway.
Yeah.
So I didn't bother walking far away. I just stopped there and waiting for them to shoot me. Um, and so it didn't happen. The guy comes closer and he says, keep moving. So I took a few more steps and stopped. Um, and then he tapped me on the shoulder and said, move. By that time, I got to the kind of a living room of that building. And there was a guy behind the desk. And he says, go talk to that man. And this guy started apologizing to me.
What?
And saying they have been doing investigations in the community, and it was basically somebody was taking revenge on my cousin. So I'm back home now, but I can't really function properly. So
Oh,
I'm dealing
yeah.
with post-traumatic disorder.
Yeah.
But one question I had for God was, why?
Yeah.
But I do not, there's one thing that I do not want to miss to say, is that as I was in as a believer, but through it all, I became so bitter.
Bitter. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I
So,
became so
yeah.
bitter to the point that, um, yeah. Anyway, um, so fast forward, I was actually recruited to work at an orphanage.
Yeah. It's still in Uganda.
Uganda.
Yeah.
And during that time, I really encountered a ministry of reconciliation for the country, and that orphanage was leading that reconciliation efforts. And so, as a student that I was given to study in their Institute of Childcare and Family, we were supposed to intercede for this event.
Okay.
So I was asked to lead a prayer, and then I felt the Holy Spirit convict me of my bitterness and unforgiveness.
Wow.
And so the situation was different tribes didn't want to come for reconciliation for fear of revenge.
Yep.
And so people needed to, we were praying for God to allow people to be willing to forgive and to offer forgiveness. And the Holy Spirit right there in the pulpit told me, you need to start with yourself.
Wow.
But it was an audible thing. So I turned behind me
Yeah.
thinking there was somebody there. It's like, what do you mean I need to start with myself? Because I had muffled it to almost a point where I couldn't really think that I had anything against anybody. And then he brought this whole experience back to me, and he hit me right there. And choking, and just my throat just became so bitter, and like I was tasting bitterness, like physically, like I don't know how to explain, but it was bitter in my throat. It was the first time that I told the story, and that actually began my healing.
Okay.
So my post-traumatic disorder lifted almost overnight
Wow.
once I actually forgave. Because for 2 years, even though I was outside the cell, I was actually still in the cell.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. These things don't go away quickly.
yeah,
But to have been even to be able to experience that new freedom in a couple of years
yeah,
is powerful,
yeah.
bro.
So
Yeah.
through that, I found the forgiveness
Yeah.
ushered me into the man and that I am today.
Wow.
Um, so how I got involved with the Farsad village, a friend said, oh, let's go for a walk to the other side of the ministry where they had a baby home. And that baby home, there were 8 babies there at the time. And so as soon as we walked into this baby house, there were children on the floor, babies lying on the floor. This particular baby, Benjamin, was actually sucking his toe, lying on his back. When I laid my eyes on him, just walking into the room, I felt these 2 words, for him. And it was an answer to the 2 years of me questioning God why he had saved me.
What?
And the answer was for him. And so I froze there, and everybody thought maybe I was mentally not there because they didn't really know the story behind and the connection. And so after sharing my testimony with them, they actually helped me, the directors of that baby home, Hope House, helped me with just learning how to do changing diapers and all of that, and actually became a foster father for Benjamin,
Oh, wow.
was the name of the child,
Yeah.
for a year and a half, and then was doing the paperwork, and turned out that I couldn't adopt Benjamin because I was single at the time. And so that kind of threw me back to the same question, because I can't adopt him, and yet God said it was for him. So it was I was confused. Like, you saved me to take care of him, and I can't adopt him. So how can I take care of him? And 2 years later, God really made it very clear that the vision was about
The
the
Benjamins.
Benjamins out there in the world, the
Oh,
fatherless,
yeah.
children without parents. And that basically brings me to Psalm 68, where where the word says, God in his holy dwelling is a father to the fatherless. And he searched the lonely in family. And that became uh, my call. And the Falasad village is my response to that call.
In 5 minutes or less, tell me how you got to El Salvador.
Oh, my first trip to El Salvador was 2007.
Yeah.
Um, the challenge with El Salvador is that it didn't have a consulate anywhere in Africa. So I went from Uganda to Kenya, Kenya to South Africa, South Africa to Brazil, Brazil to Peru, Peru to Colombia.
Good grief.
Yeah, and I was able to get a visa there within 12 hours,
Yeah.
and then from Colombia to Peru, and from Peru to El Salvador. I was shocked in El Salvador that there was this. I couldn't really understand, because it wasn't like a physical, like an army or anything like that. But this was all just very organized crime, yet at the same time, you couldn't really see. Like,
Yeah.
as a visitor, you don't really see the violence that was there. But having been there for a few years, identified the property where I will be building the ministry, we quickly figured out that the gangs were actually looking for me. But the way they looked for me wasn't to find, it was just looking to intimidate. Because in the community, when I'm there, nobody shows up who is looking for me. But when I leave the community, then they come saying they're looking for me. And then tomorrow, when you go back to the project site, they say, "Oh, they were here, they were looking for you." If you change your schedule, your movements, it basically means you're responding in a fearful way to them. Then they are going to mount more demands.
Okay.
So then he said, you have to do the very opposite. Just make yourself comfortable and actually continue with what you're doing, and instead of reduce, increase. So I did that, but obviously at the back of your head there is some level of fear because you don't really know. Then I get a message through an go between from the actual gang leader wanting to meet in a private place.
Uh-oh.
And so I was like, why in a private place? So, "Oh, well, because he doesn't want people to see you guys meeting and thinking they're extorting money from you." And I said, but are you extorting money from me, or planning to extort money
Right.
from me, or not?
Yeah.
Because if the truth is you're not, then why would we be meeting in a private place? Let's meet in the public place.
Yeah.
To which he agreed to meet
Okay.
in a public
Okay.
place.
Good.
And my conversation went with this gentleman, and I think that this has really affected me profoundly.
Yeah.
There were 5 other men from the community who wanted to accompany me in that meeting.
Yeah.
But on the actual day of the meeting, nobody showed up. I showed up alone. I did not inform the police because that was the agreement. You do not tell anybody.
Right.
So we met at our office in the Falasad village in El Salvador. And it was supposed to be at 8 o'clock. By 8 o'clock, nobody showed up. And then I got the message that they were doing their own rounds to make sure that I hadn't actually informed anybody.
Oh yeah.
So when they felt was safe, he actually showed up. So our property caretaker's wife came, and she was trembling, uh, saying he's here. And in her eyes, she thought they were actually gonna kill me.
Yeah.
That's what she thought.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know that God had called me to that community, and so many different evidences that prove God's involvement, even how we got the land. And so I knew that it whatever it was going to be, God somehow was involved, and God is sovereign,
Yeah.
right? Even if I was being dumb, I believe that God is sovereign over my dumbness. And so
I count on
so,
that
so
daily.
with that,
Yeah.
I went to
Yeah.
meet this guy, and sitting with him face to face. So I tell him, well, I've heard that you really wanted to meet with me, and so I'm curious as to why you really wanted to meet with me. And he opens his mouth and says, yes, I wanted to meet with you because I do not want to live in fear.
What?
Yeah.
This is
This is
the
the gang
leader
leader.
of the gang.
Because he did not want to live in fear. And I say, I'm a missionary guy here without even a weapon.
Yeah.
Like, what would be the sense of your fear that
Right,
would
yeah,
drive you
yeah.
to want to meet with me? Like, it does not make any sense whatsoever.
What did he
But
say?
while I was just processing what he told me, it dawned on me that the fear wasn't me, it was actually the fear of God. That's
Wow.
what he felt.
Yeah.
Because what he proceeded to say was, everybody's saying that the gangs are taking advantage of you, a missionary. And that is not true. Because he says, I am the gang leader here, and I have never given an order to any gang member to extort money from you. So if there is anybody that's extorting money from you, I want to know the names of the people who have extorted money from you. I will go kill them myself. Most of these young men who were actually involved in the gang, most of them actually are in my community. 100% they are in jail.
Oh.
100% of these young men are in jail, and some of them unfortunately lost their lives in the process.
Oh.
But the community there's a lot of children just in the community from people that actually um, know that are now without both parents, live
yeah.
alone the whole country.
God bless you so much, Samuel.
you.
Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
your story with us
Yeah.
today. I pray that His peace and His favor would continue to follow you just
Amen.
for years and years
Amen.
through your days. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
God bless you, bro.
Yeah, bless you too.
Yeah.